Hello everyone, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to a new game that just came out called The Arms Race, the Cold War Era. This is a real-time, but also gives you a turn-based option, so it's kind of a real-time or turn-based strategy game, which puts you in the shoes of either the USSR or the United States during the Cold War. Your goal, depending on your level of difficulty, could be to win the space race, to win more countries over to your alliance bloc, or even to overthrow the United States or Soviet government and win the Cold War, in essence. In this video, I'll be playing the game as the Soviet Union. We're a little bit of the ways into the game. I spent the first 30 minutes kind of talking about some of the menus and also playing through the first year or so of the game. We're into the early 1950s as the USSR. We're in the middle of the war in Korea, and we're trying to get an edge in the early Cold War against the United States. This was taken just 2 days ago from a live stream that I conducted as a first look. This is very much still my first impressions. This is my first game as I play through. I played a really brief game where I just kind of fast-forwarded through the game. That didn't really count. This is my first real attempt to sit down and win the game, and we're playing as the Soviet Union with easy difficulty. The game doesn't actually let you bump the difficulty level up until you've won on easy difficulty. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and step out and jump back in to the live stream. Sit back and enjoy. Let me know your thoughts below. Let me know if this is a game you'd like to see more of. I'm thinking about doing more of a historical topic video where maybe I play through the game talking about different events that occur throughout the game. That won't occur during this series, which will end up being 4 parts, but it could end up occurring in another video series if you want to see me play as the US or play as the USSR, maybe on a harder difficulty. All right, guys, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and step out and sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Not in the north. We've, at least for now, secured the north. The south, it doesn't look like I can put more resources into the south. It looks like we're just going to slowly lose there, which, at the end of the day, I'm fine with. I think we bled the U.S. substantially there. You can see we've gained an edge in our global influence. I believe that was due to our advance in the Cosmodrome, getting up to speed on the space race first, ahead of the U.S. Yugoslavia, we still have 64 influence. We've got 60. Oh, and by the way, you can see we produced 1 new diplomat in Greece as a result of the new year. So we're going to go ahead and increase our influence in Greece up to 47, increase our influence in Yugoslavia up to 65, and I feel like we should have more influence in some of these countries that are in our block, but we don't. They're still relatively secure, I think. So I'll make sure we have a couple of parades kind of in some of these countries. Looks like we can only afford 1. Which again, I'm not quite clear on. I don't know if it's just 1 parade per. It's more than, we've done more than 1 parade every 3 months, so I'm not quite sure what drives that. But anyway, the war still continues in South Korea. Doesn't seem to be going well for us. Can't add any more military forces there. Could be because we don't have any influence, but I don't want to expend influence on South Korea. This is a lost cause. It'd be nice if we could pull our military forces out, but it doesn't appear we can do that. Okay, American troops enter the country in Central America. So again, remember, this is a global conflict, so, you know, there's value to increasing relations with India, Pakistan, Iran, all these different countries. Certainly are countries you may want to consider supporting. A new superior Soviet military designed and produced in the Soviet Union, so we actually can go here to the military screen and see that we've developed the T-55. It cost us the $48. We're now moving on to developing the Shika, which is a radar-guided, self-propelled anti-aircraft weapon, and it increases our firepower in combat zones on the ground. So now that we increased our ground combat level to 2, you can actually see here, since we've got 2 ground level units, we actually have a 20 score versus the US's 10 score on ground units, plus our 5 bonus. You see this 5 bonus for Khrushchev, so we get a 25 value on ground combat, which increases our firepower and likelihood of success. The issue mainly in South Korea at the moment is we just don't have enough military forces on the ground, I don't think, to win that battle. You can see here the next unit's going to cost us 95, so it'll take substantially longer to research this unit. If we go to the, let's see here, 90 opposition in Indochina, 10 for firepower, US, blah, blah, blah. So Indochina, we've got a pretty strong amount of influence in. We don't have any spies, so we'll go ahead and have a spy there. And support a riot, because right now Indochina is part of the French Empire. So we'll go ahead and, well, we can't do that because we already spent our money for that. But anyway, so you can see these different events are occurring at different speeds. You can see there's no real progress on anything except the Vietnam War, which the U.S. is progressing toward their trait, which I don't quite understand. Like, okay, the U.S. goes to their 130. Do we have to get to our 130 to spark the revolution there? It's not really clear to me. It's not really clear in the manual either, but... All right, starting back up, we're into August of 52. American troops are continuing to pour into South Korea in support of the local government there. So you can see here, it seems like we're bleeding them dry. We've definitely invested a lot of resources in South Korea, but nonetheless, if we can keep making the Americans send more and more troops in, that'll be good for us. You can see we keep getting these notices that the Americans are putting ground troops into South Korea, so the more we can drain their resources there, the better. And would you like to support local terrorists in Central America? We can spend $50 to support local terrorists. It'll increase opposition in Central America by 20. You can see here the opposition is already very strong in the Central American areas. We can also put our own military forces into Central America as well. I don't have enough influence, it doesn't look like, to support a revolution or a new government, but it is certainly probably concerning to the Americans that they have so little support in Central America. Cuba, meanwhile, appears to be going through their own revolution. We can go ahead and add our own support to Cuba to increase some of our influence there. Oh, there you go. So the Cuban government has entered our orbit, if you will, a communist revolution in Cuba. You can see they are now red, which is good for us. It increases our score to 23. This is not Central... Oh, wait. Central America is all one country. So Cuba and Central America, apparently, in the game scheme of things, are one country. So actually we now have influence over Central America. Those revolutionaries overthrew the democratic government. We can use our spies to have a parade of support. Oh, wait. Whoa, pause. Pause, I'm going to lose my stuff. We're almost through 1953, and I haven't expended any of our money yet. All right, let's take a look at our revenues. We've got 280 in revenues, 132 in expenditures. So that means we've got about a buffer. We've got a buffer there, so we're not going to go bankrupt quite yet. Hopefully not at all. Let's invest a little bit more in our air power. Kind of ignoring naval power at the moment, but... And let's go ahead and invest a little bit more in the space race on both launchers and ground facilities. We've done our first launch. We did the R1 launch. You can see we're working on the R7, and we've done the Air Force Group 1, where we're now working on SK1, which is a spacesuit design, as we kind of move up the chain here. But nonetheless, we turned Central America to our side, so obviously that's very good for us. I'm continuing to see how we can get Yugoslavia to join our sphere, or Greece for that matter. So we'll go ahead and support a riot. Well, we don't have money again. I don't understand how that works. We'll go ahead and add influence in Greece. We'll use one of our diplomatic points there. You can see they're creeping up toward 50%, which would be good for us. Turkey, Belgium. I'm trying to see if there's any other countries that we've got substantial influence in. We've got a lot in Indochina. We're going to kind of put some of our military resources into Indochina. Again, right now we have a technology lead over the U.S. in land forces, and actually air forces as well, slightly, mainly because of Khrushchev's bonus. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll almost be into 1954. Stop bullying Greece. They have enough issues. Well, you know, I'm the Soviet Union, so I'm going to bully whoever I see fit to bully. All right. We don't have any spies. We probably need to produce a few more. Do I want to spend the money doing that? You can see our budget did not increase very much this year, so we've got to start being careful because we're on the verge of spending more than we take in, which can really cause things to go south quickly. I think for the purpose of our objectives, I think we'll keep space race spending the same. I think we'll keep military spending the same. I do want to spend one more on spies, and I want to spend... Let's see, where does that leave us? 180. We'll leave that buffer of 30 for now. So we may not use all of our political points this turn, or this year. So we'll continue supporting riots against the Greek government. We'll add more influence in Greece. And have a... Again, we can only apparently do one of these per turn. Okay, so you can see all the various influence scores across the way. We're trying to get Greece. Greece would give us a score bonus of 1. USSR superior military unit designed and produced in the USSR, so we reached our level 2 of air power. We also just launched an R7, so the space race advanced to the next level, which is the Sputnik. So we've successfully moved another way toward winning the space race. I haven't seen the U.S. do anything. Well, they just developed their first spacesuit, which I'm assuming is this. Their ground launch facilities is tier 3, I would guess. So they're actually doing well on the ground launch, I think. Oh, does this star represent we're the first ones to do it? I'd have to look through the manual there. Again, it's nice that the manual's only 13 pages, but there's also some things that feel kind of rushed in the manual because it's only 13 pages. I think that star does represent that you're the first one to do it. Alright, so we're in a 1955. Where's our budget now? Oh god, our revenue is dropping versus expenditures. GNP growth is 0 this year. Ew. Oh, we can invest in the growth of the budget. Well. Okay. Well, I don't know why I haven't been doing that. I guess I never saw anything about investing in the economy. So you can use political points to invest in the economy as well. Which maybe that's what we'll do this year, because it seems like the first prototype of a ballistic missile based on the V2, so that's their first space launch trait. But we can spend... I don't know how much money this is costing us to invest in the growth of the budget. But we'll just spend 3% to increase our GNP growth. We'll see how that influences the next turn. I think the Korean War is over. It is. They ejected us from South Korea. They didn't eject us from North Korea, so that all went according to plan. We just launched Sputnik, so we succeeded there. And Greece will continue supporting the opposition as they kind of gain popularity there. And Yugoslavia, the U.S. just created NASA. Yugoslavia, we've kind of added a spy network there. So our influence over Greece continues to increase. Same for Yugoslavia. And what's going on here? Would you like to support the local government in Romania? $35 for 20 support. Yes, they're within our regime or within our sphere. So again, February 1956, we just got our political points. Let's take a look at the budget. Nice. So those investments in our GDP apparently have sparked some GNP growth here. You can see here we've got revenue exceeding expenditures now, so I'm actually going to go ahead and spend one more of our political points continuing to invest in the economy. Seems like a smart thing to do. I'm also going to use the other $2 that we have because we've got a little bit of a surplus now. I think I'm going to spend it on starting to invest in naval technology. We haven't really spent anything there. It's not an area that I think is going to be of great focus, but I don't want to completely ignore it. So if we spend this in 4 years, we'll develop the Riga frigate. Obviously, we're way behind on developing like nuclear submarines or anything like that, but I don't think this is really a relevant one-to-one comparison of where you should be at. We're almost done developing the Shika on ground units. We're still a ways away from developing the Mi-8 helicopter. Looks like we're ahead in ground technology, but the U.S. may be a little bit ahead in air technology. Seems about right, I think. Kind of want to see... Maybe we invest more in diplomats? Not sure. We're winning right now in terms of score. Our GNP is lower, but our actual score is higher, thanks to the revolution in Central America. Continue to support revolutionaries and riots in Greece. I just don't know, because Yugoslavia is neutral right now. I would almost rather overthrow their government. So I'll support riots there as well. Internally, we're still popular within China. We could add a little bit of influence. I mean, China is within our sphere. What about Mongolia? Where are they at? So overall, I guess we're okay there. I think Indochina, we need to continue supporting revolutionaries. We can't add a spy here because we used all of our spies. But we'll add one more influence in Indochina. Hopefully we can spark the Vietnam War here on our terms, although it looks like the U.S. is going toward winning that particular global consequence. They've already done the Berlin airlift, which gives them plus 30 influence and 10 opposition in East Germany, minus 5 prestige in Soviet alliance. So in East Germany, for example, the U.S. now has actually quite a bit of influence. So we're going to go ahead and spend one there to kind of counter them a bit. And then we're also going to have a, well, we don't have any diplomats left to do a support parade, but we'll probably do a support parade in Germany next turn. We don't have any spies, we don't have any diplomats. We still do have military power, which seems fitting again for the Soviet Union. Yeah, investing in the Navy, not very Khrushchev of me. Okay. Yeah, I know, guys, I know some of you pointed out some of the flags are a little bit off. I do want to call out that, just remember, this is a 3-man development team that did this, so it's a really small group that that's behind this project. We haven't spent anything else, so let's go ahead and spend the other political point in investing in GNP growth. All right, so we just accomplished the next ground unit, which actually we don't have a star there, so I'm assuming that means the US may have already done this ish, maybe. What's this say? No, it doesn't have the US ahead of, well, I'm not sure. I don't quite understand that then. American troops have entered the country in Belgium to support the government there, and they just launched a more advanced rocket, which has a heavier payload. I'm not sure. I guess they're ahead of us right now in the space race then. East Germany, increase local support by 20 for $20. Yes, we'll do that. All right, so new year, new political points. Let's take a look. I think we may need to really bump up spending in the space race. It feels like we're behind. Not so much on the ground side of things, but certainly in the rocket side of things. Sputnik is about to be developed, though, so that'll be helpful. Let's see here. What's our budget? Our budget is increasing. U.S. GNP growth has actually slowed. Soviet GNP growth has increased. U.S. overall GNP is higher, though, but we had a good last 2 years with us investing money in the GNP. We'll invest 1% again, and then our 2 remaining political points are both going to go to space launchers. It seems we're ahead on ground facilities, but we're not ahead on space launchers, so we're going to go ahead and invest the other 2 points there to help catch up. We've still got a nice buffer in revenue versus expenditures. So that's going to be kind of our focus this year. We will... Debating having some riots in Greece. Got 3 spies, so we'll go ahead and assign 1 to Greece. Then we'll go ahead and support a riot against the Greek government, continuing to decrease their popularity. Add a spy to Yugoslavia as well. Supporting, we can't support a riot. Okay, well, you have to have spies left over, I think, to do that. But anyway, we'll increase our influence somewhere. I don't know where. Where do we want to increase our influence? Could do Finland. Try and draw them in. They're right on our sphere. Although they have I believe they have a democratic government at this point. Okay, so we're continuing to invest a modest sum. Anti-government protests erupt all over Denmark's major cities. Opposition is very strong to Denmark, actually. Here you can see we've just launched the Sputnik. We're working on the Vostok, which is the first space flight into space. And we're working on the Yuri Gagarin Space Scientific Research Center. So quite a bit of money going into the space race at the moment. We'll see how everything plays out here. Ground units and air units we're continuing to invest in. It looks like we're a little bit over a year away from our Hind, or Mi-8, not Hind, or Mi-8 helicopter, and still quite a ways away from our BM-21 Grad. It doesn't look like the U.S. has invested anything in naval technology, which is weird. Let's see here what just happened. The Vietnam War. Any opposition in +10 firepower for air, land, and U.S. So they actually have the edge there if war was to erupt because of that +10 firepower. U.S. begins work. Oh, wait. I think the Vietnam War did just erupt. So we're going to go ahead and pour support into Vietnam. Add a spy there. And we've already got the influence I think we need there. So anyway, the U.S. is pouring resources into Vietnam. You can see here the firepower advantage certainly is on their side during the Vietnam War, but we've got the opposition on our side. We'll see. It may be a drain on some of our resources. American communism, is that what this is? Soviet influence removes in USA. Aww. So they just had, I think, the equivalent of the McCarthyism, and we just lost influence throughout a lot of these other countries. Denmark, a new democratic government in Benelux, so Belgium has joined the American alliance. You can see that ties the score at 23. Not sure what's going. Anti-government protests erupting all over Denmark. Yugoslavia. Alright, continuing to try and turn the Greek and Yugoslav governments against them. And we're investing a whole bunch of military resources to try and keep things going here. It does look like things are shifting a little bit in our favor in terms of firepower. The U.S. just launched their first satellite with a thing, an animal aboard, which I'm not sure... Yeah, I'm not quite sure where that is. I don't quite understand this little star thing, then. Maybe the star represents us where the U.S. is in their research? That might actually make more sense. Alright, so we're into the next year. We should go ahead and pause. We can assign our resources. Let's take a look at the economy. 310 versus 216. So US GNP growth jumped dramatically last year. Ours stayed relatively flat. So we'll keep investing in the GNP. But let's also kind of stay ahead here. Our launchers, I think we've got sufficient investment. We'll have the Vostok 1 done in the next turn. The US is actually ahead of us in the ground launch facility, so let's go ahead and invest there. In terms of diplomats and spies, we probably want to invest more there. It's not a bad idea, I would assume, but... Anyway, let's see here. Naval technology will be done this year. Still a ways away on land, but we're on parity there. We're way ahead on air units, actually, interestingly enough. I think we'll use that remaining maybe dollar to spend on our GNP. Again, economy is so important in this game, so I think I'm going to keep it focusing on our economy there. So we've got a proxy war going in Vietnam. Again, these aren't red forces, so we're spending military resources to support them, but they're not exactly, you know, our own forces, strictly speaking. Norway just joined the American alliance. You can see that tips the score more in the American favor. First spacewalk, however, is conducted by the USSR. So actually, is there a war going on in Norway as well? There appears to be a war going on in Norway. Interesting. I'm not going to support... Wait. Oh. U.S. provides military support to revolutionaries? Really? Alright, we're pouring our resources in to Indochina. We're continuing to support riots against the government. You can see here, in terms of firepower, it's a pretty even fight. The Americans are losing casualties, you can see. There's also, oddly enough, a war going on in Norway. I never thought I put forces there. I have no desire to fight a war in Norway. So yeah, let's not even do that. Oh look, now we've got Reagan as our adversary. We're 10 years in, so the adversary changed, and now Reagan is the American ruler. Spent a little bit of money to help support in Hungary. The war going on in Norway, Indochina. Confused. Oh, there's... I don't know what this Denmark event is. I'm not quite clear. It just... I click it, it brings me to Denmark. I don't have any options there, it doesn't look like, so whatever. Continue supporting riots against the Greek government. We're going to try and overthrow that Greek government. Let's see here. Indochina is very, you know, strongly against their own government at the moment. Continuing to invest in our troops in Indochina to support that war against the US. Invest some influence against Greece. We still have the influence in Central America. Okay. So I think that's all we've got going on at the moment. We are losing score-wise up here. We're winning in the space race, though. How's the economy doing? A nice little GNP bump because of that investment we put in the economy. We're still trailing in overall economic power to the U.S., but I'm happy with where we're at right now. We're still behind in the ground launch facilities, so I'm actually going to spend one more on ground launch facilities to try and catch up a little bit. Actually, let's just spend let's spend 2. We're only going to do 1% of the budget is invested in GNP growth. We've got a bit of a buffer there, so we'll do that. So we're now spending 7 per month on ground launch facilities. We'll be to the next level in the space race very quickly here. And in our military technology on the ground, we're ahead or at parity with the U.S. on all of our facilities. Alan Shepard, the first American in space. We just developed our next military technology, which I'm not sure what that was, but... Alright, the war is continuing in Indochina. First spacecraft designed to remain in space for extended periods of time. You'd think that they would be more pro-Soviet based on their influence. They have no support in their own government, in their own country with their local government. Oh, new government right here. There you go. So we just turned Indochina to the Soviet sphere. So they just joined us. You can see the war's continuing. But we've got a slight edge in support. We're fighting the Americans directly. We're about to win in Indochina in 1960. They're no longer part of the French. They're now southern, a communist state in Indochina. Let's go to pause. I'll spend a little bit of money. Wait, why are we spending local money to support terrorists in Romania? Why would we do that? They're in our sphere. What would be the purpose of that? Yeah. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to try and turn the Yugoslav government. Right now they're neutral. I'd like them to join our sphere. I'd also like Greece to join our sphere. We're working heavily on them as well. Indochina has, and I think the war is about to be a victory for us there. We'll want to support that government over time, but we've got a good deal of influence there. So we just tied it up with the conquest of Indochina. Both sides are kind of ignoring Africa at this point, or at least I am. Which is not, Africa and the Middle East were huge proxies during the Cold War, which has happened here. The Berlin Crisis, 90 opposition in East Germany if the region is Soviet. So the U.S. is investing a lot of resources in trying to turn the people against us in East Germany, which is not great. All right, so the new year started. Let's take a look and see where we're at budget-wise. GNP actually dropped this last year. We're now spending substantially more than we're bringing in. I guess we didn't invest enough. It's a little bit randomized, too, so immediately we're going to spend most of our budget just trying to keep the economy up. And then I don't know if I want to spend anything else here. We're really catching up well, I don't know if we are catching up, but we're trying to catch up in space and ground facilities. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and jump in here and cut off this video. This is the end of part 2 of my look at the arms race, the Cold War era, playing as the Soviet Union. We're into 1960. We're well into the space race, trying to compete with the US to be the first country to land on the moon. We are also well into the Cold War itself. Things haven't been going great in Europe. They haven't really gone my way yet. However, we have turned Southeast Asia, specifically sort of the Vietnam area. Well, really, Southeast Asia is only represented as one country, but we've turned those French colonies away from the Western Allies and shifted them into the Soviet sphere of influence. So we did have that one big victory. We will see as things go on how the Cold War continues to unfold, but that's going to do it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. As always, leave your thoughts below, and until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.